Hello and welcome one more time to this introduction to Windows Forensics, and we're going to talk about the registry today. Now this is just a brief introduction, so it's not really going in depth, but it's an introduction to Windows Registry, and I think let's just begin. So you can download some different tools here. I think this one here should still work. It points to a tool that Eric Zimmerman created, and that is basically the go-to guy that creates most of the usable, really good forensics tools. Now there are many other software groups you could try and use. I have no experience with that. For decoding timestamps, there's another tool here. Now I'm just gonna check out what tool. Yeah, and basically it's a tool called Decode, which is on DigitalDetective.net Decode, and it's made for encoding and decoding timestamps. Basically, that's it. So when you work with forensics, there's a really good chance that you're gonna work with timestamps at some point, because everything is timestamp based. So that is really what you're going to do. So remember about the investigation process and the timeline you're going to do. Now getting the timestamps correctly is a very important part. I don't remember all the different kind of timestamps, but I just want to introduce to you that some timestamps is recorded in local time, others are recorded in UTC time, and so on. So it's going to be a wild thing going on. Even if the user changed the time, let's say to be in Australia or to be in Denmark or to be in the United States, there's going to be some time stuff going on there you have to convert. So that is your go-to tool. And Registry Explorer is just a really good tool to explore the registry, and I recommend you use the tools from Eric Zimmerman. If you should download these tools and use them, after you watch the video or go into some more knowledge about Registry Explorer, well, basically, I think you should do that, of course. So, what is the registry in Windows? It is basically a database that stores low-level settings for Microsoft Windows as the operating system it is. It also contains stuff like information for the kernel, device drivers, services, security account managers, and so on. So to put it simple, as I wrote, the registration database contains information, settings, options, and other values for programs, and hardware installed on all versions of Microsoft Windows operating system. So basically the registration database is a really big place, and I guess whenever there's a new version of Windows, it's gonna change at some point. So yeah. If you wanna go ahead and look at where the registry is stored, it is stored right here, and the backup is stored right there. Why is that particularly important? Well, it is particularly important because sometimes you need to look in the backup in order to find the clues, because sometimes the user been creative in a way of trying to undo the actions that would reveal their true nature on the system. So sometimes the backup can be really crucial in a forensics investigation. Now there's some different root keys here. You can also call them hives. Basically, the best idea is that you go ahead and look at these, root keys. You can follow the link here. I know it's a Wikipedia link, but I'm not really. I think Wikipedia is okay. For school context, I don't think it's the best source to use, because everyone can edit Wikipedia links, and I don't know about that. It's not legit in a way. So these are the 5 hives that you find in the Windows registry. Now when you go ahead and type regedit after you press the start key in your computer, on a Windows machine of course, these are the ones you can, browse through. And yeah, I think I have a video where I actually talk about this. I think it's on, I do have a video on about, it's a room on TryHackMe. I think it's called Windows Forensics 1. I suggest you go and check it out. So now back in the days, Microsoft used something called .ini files to store information about software and stuff, but eventually they did migrate towards the registry. I guess you all remember this icon in a way. It is still the same icon, I think, that the registry still uses, but yeah. Anyways, the registry is a messy place. It's I'm very sad to say this, but it is a piece of software that is, and data collection that is, combined from different parties of Microsoft. So some think that the format should be like that, and others think it should be like that. So you will find out whenever you work with this that it's very different. And yeah, it's just the way it is. So we do have some root key explanation here on the small table. You can basically read it that the H key current config is the current hardware. Next one is the types of documents and registered applications. The one is the current user logged in. The second last is system hardware software security, and the last one is user profiles. Now there are some that you're gonna get more than one of. For example, the NTUSER.dat, you're gonna extract that. That is for every profile. There is basically gonna have many different versions of that. Depending on how many users you have in your system, you're gonna investigate all the different hives you extracted. Whenever you open Registry Explorer, you're gonna see something like this. So it's just to briefly tell you that, well, this is not my image. I don't know where it is from, but it's just something I found, And you're gonna see one of the root keys here, the hives, and then you have the keys inside, like hardware, SAM, security, software. Inside that you have the subkeys, which contains different things. You can see Mozilla and Intel and different other kind of software stuff you installed. On the SAM you're gonna find user stuff, and on the hardware you're gonna find something about hardware. So basically it's just looking and exploring yourself. In the old days when they were trying to invent forensics investigation, someone eventually sat down and looked at this. Please bear in mind that Microsoft never created Windows for forensics cases. So all the backup and whatever they log has nothing to do with a forensics case. So you gotta think about that someone put it all together, and it just took a vast amount of time. There's a rumor that some guys in the forensics world know some guys at Microsoft, so whenever they have a question about a certain artifact, or what does this file do, or can you help me decode in a certain way, they give him a bottle of whiskey, and then he fixes it. So there are some human connections here and there that gonna create this world we're in. So of course nothing is perfect. If you want to open the registry, have a look at it, just go and type regedit after you press start, and that should open the regedit.exe directly on your computer. And basically you're going to see something like this. So yeah. So here we have a example Hive navigation. So you have like the Hive itself, H current user. Then you pick control panel, which is a key. There's desktop, which is a sub key. Colors, which is another sub key, and then a menu, which is your actual value. So that could be one way of looking at it. I know it's a bit difficult, but eventually you're gonna end up with some values, and most of it is, think about sub keys, and keys as, you could think about them as a folder, but I wouldn't necessarily say that is the best way, but you could do that. So about this one here, HK local machine, or HKLM, it stores settings that are specific to the local computer. Most of it is stored in memory, not on the disk. So that is, well, so if you're gonna collect this, you probably have to do it volatile, but yeah. Let me just see. Yeah, so whenever you boot your computer, it's gonna be wiped, of course, because it's in your RAM. So if you want to look at this, you probably have to extract it from the actual memory, not the disk. This one here can be found, the HKey current config can be found right here. And remember that if you edit anything, in the formal registry key, it's going to be reflected into the data, and vice versa, of course. It's built at runtime and it's not stored. The one here, as I also told you, this is not the most important of the Hive, so you can probably, I wouldn't necessarily look at this too much, but you could do that. The most important part to look at when you're going to look at Hives is the user Hives. And this is a lot more interesting Hive to look at, where you're going to have some users and a lot of, stuff to look at forensics wise. This is just a brief introduction to the registry, so it's going to be very, if I should go into detail with all these kind of things, the video will be super long. So I'm basically just trying to touch the table without even scratching it. So that's very difficult, I know. So, but that is one of the keys that you definitely should extract. And basically you have some ways here to find the list of users, and you could do that by looking right here, or you could try and execute some of the commands here where you say, like, you're gonna get the username, the name and the identifier, or the name where user uses some name or that ID. And it looks like more like SQL, based syntax, but it is the vmake, wmake, whatever you're gonna call it, command. This one contains information for Windows and software specific of the current logged in user. Also a very important one to look at. It's gonna say various registry values, keys, install printers, desktop wallpapers, display settings, and so on. So definitely worth having a look at this. Keyboard layout, of course, map network drives. Did the user have access to some sort of C drive, Z drive, H drive? Did they actually install it? Even if they were not allowed to do that. Many different things could be revealed in this Hive here. There's an exercise, and basically this is made for class, so yeah, if you want to do it, you need to use these kind of tools here. You can go ahead and search for them and download it from Google. They're all free, by the way. And the different exercises could be looked at right here. So I'm gonna change the slide and be really quiet, and you can just pause the video and read the exercise, and then verify the computer name, verify Windows current version, and also you're gonna go ahead and download some. I know these links is you need to type them, but these files here are some random extractions from an operating system at some point in time. It's very old. I suggest you go ahead and extract your own ones. So watching the videos in the order that I upload them for this particular course here would be probably the best idea. NTUSER.dat is basically the file for a particular user, or a Hive extract for a particular user. You don't know which one it is because they're only named the same. You could go on and try and type all this, but you know, yeah, it's gonna be too much. But I really suggest you do new Hive. This was made for a class. Exercise 3 is yeah, this is where you're gonna use the your own extracted, you know, NTUSER.dat, looking at, you know, recent files, recent docs. So you're gonna find out what is these artifacts means. I actually suggest you go ahead and do the room on TryHackMe called Windows Forensics 1. I'm gonna mention that in the description and put a link to it, so you know that this video here is, you know, expect you to have some knowledge already. Exercise 4, TypedPaths. Exercise 5, last command executed. And let me just, yeah, so that file is a cheat sheet. I'm gonna link that in the description. And yeah, so basically registry is a big place. I briefly introduced you to the 5 root keys, or the 5 hives, and I suggest you go ahead and look at the video called Windows Forensics 1 on TryHackMe in order to understand this even better if you have no experience at all with digital forensics. So until next time, I'm gonna see you again. Bye.